following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. 98FM.
This is 98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Good morning, Dublin. It is Thursday, the 24th day of, what month is it? August, of course. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks with you until midday today. And a busy show we have for you. Lots to get through. And before we do all of that, let's do this.
98FM, Secret Sound.
How do you fancy winning yourself €9,550? 9,550. That's only 450 quid off 10 grand. Wow, what a prize. It is 98FM's Secret Sound, the sound that has our hearts broken at this stage. I've heard all of the answers that we have had, and every single one of them I thought was right. What is this? If you've any idea and if you'd like to take part in the game, I'm going to play it right now. All you have to do is text or WhatsApp us. Text or WhatsApp sound followed by your name and details to 0877 98 98 98. Get your text or WhatsApp into us right now. Text sound followed by your name and details to 0877 98 98 98. Now, you don't have to text in your guess. You don't have to do that at all. All you have to do is text the word sound followed by your name and details to 0877 98 98 98. What is that? If you've any idea, text sound followed by your name and details to 0877 98 98 98. And we're going to play the game in just a moment. Come on, somebody has to get it for €9,550. Let's go to City West. Sam Holland is on the line from City West. Sam, welcome to 98FM.
Hi, how's it going, Adrian?
Sam, I would love to be able to give you €9,550. I'm sure you would be very happy to accept it too.
I would love it.
Okay, well, let's play 98FM's Secret Sound. Like I said, it's the sound that's been wrecking everybody's head. Let's have a listen to it one more time, Sam. Now, Sam, any idea what that is?
Well, I had a couple of guesses, but I suppose I have to go with one. Anyway.
You have to go with one, yep.
Is it putting a token into a trolley and pulling the chain out?
Putting a token?
Into a trolley. You know the security latches they have on trolleys?
Oh, on your shopping trolley?
Yeah.
So there you are, you arrive at Tesco or Aldi and you put your coin in or your token in and you slide it across, yeah?
Yeah.
Or slide it in. Is that the answer that I'm looking for? For €9,550. Sam, I'm waiting for the boss to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Because we don't know what it is. Ah, come on, boss, stop acting the maggot. Oh. Sorry, Sam.
No problem.
You have to try again in the next hour when 98FM's Secret Sound will be worth €9,600. €9,600. We will play in the next hour on 98FM's Secret Sound for €9,600.
98FM, Secret Sound.
I'm Adrian Kennedy, and that man there is Jeremy Dixon.
Thank you for that auspicious introduction.
It is.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome to my show, and it's good to be
Sorry,
here.
what?
I said you're very welcome to my show.
Our show.
No.
Does Ant say that the Saturday night...
Ant's not really saying a lot at the minute.
Okay. Does Deck say the Saturday night takeaway...
He may well, if Ant isn't better. Do you know what I mean?
It's our show.
Anyway, welcome to my show, and what have you got for me? What have you brought to what can you bring to the table?
Deep breaths is what they say. Here's something that's in the news. This is in the news, in the English news today, and it's something we've never talked about on the show, but it's a big deal. Now, this happened to me, and it also happened to Adrian as well on a flight recently. How do you feel, or how would you feel about nuts being banned in public places and on public transport? Adrian, you have the story there in front of you.
Sorry, apparently I do, yeah.
Well, not apparently, there it's there.
No, I do. Should we ban nuts
do you want me to read it out for you, or you're right there?
No, it's okay. No. Obviously, it's my show, so I'll have to read it myself.
It's our show.
Yeah, nuts are the on-the-go snacking staple of many. I love nuts myself, I have to say. Yet they are also potentially deadly to a small percentage of the population. So here's the question. Is it time to crack down on eating nuts in public? And if so, where should we start? Now, in the UK alone, get a load of this. In the UK alone, about 2 million people have a food allergy, with fish, shellfish and nuts among the most common types. For most people, the symptoms are mild, such as an itchy mouth or a rash, but in extreme cases, it can result in difficulty breathing or a potentially fatal anaphylactic shock.
Yes, people have died. People who are allergic to nuts have died from... in fact, there was a tragic case, wasn't there, in a restaurant in Dublin a few years ago?
Yeah, that's right.
Where a girl came in contact with peanuts and died. So it is a very serious thing. I was on a flight to Gatwick Airport there a couple of weeks ago, and it's the first time I'd experienced it. When we got on the flight, an announcement was made straight away that said, if you have nuts on you, if you have a packet of peanuts or anything containing nuts, you have to discard them before getting on the plane because somebody has a serious nut allergy.
Yes, and I had a similar announcement on a flight to Zurich a couple of months ago where they said pretty much the same thing. If you have peanuts or any sort of nuts in your possession, please do not open them on this flight.
I'd love to talk to somebody. We've never actually had somebody on the show who has a nut allergy. Are you somebody who has a nut allergy, or do you have someone in your family or whatever, or your circle of friends that has a nut allergy? I'd just love to find out how serious of an allergy it is and how you get around everyday life with not being able to be in contact with nuts.
Now, there has been calls, obviously, like we said, on those 2 flights that we're referencing, we were asked not to consume nuts or open packets of nuts or not even bring them on the airplane. Well, supporters of a nut ban on flights argue allergy sufferers are at risk from airborne peanut particles recirculating around the aircraft and far from medical help in the event of emergency. Most airlines cannot guarantee a nut-free flight. Some, including EasyJet and Virgin Atlantic, say cabin crew can make an announcement if a passenger asks them to do so beforehand, which is what happened in our case with 2 different flights. They made an announcement beforehand. And we'd like to hear from you if you are somebody who suffers with a severe nut allergy. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Are you somebody who suffers with a severe nut allergy? We'd love to hear from you. Okay, text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98
And
98.
can we do a poll as well, if possible, to find out how many people feel about it? Because if you don't suffer from a nut allergy, do you really give a damn?
No, probably not. No,
you probably don't. So let's do a poll as well and ask the question: do you think nuts should be banned from are we going to say public transport or public in general?
Well, the campaign is actually to ban them in public places. Now, a pub is a public place. A pub, what's the point without a packet of peanuts?
Well, actually, peanuts actually make you drink more alcohol.
There you go.
Oh, it's a good thing, is it?
No, it is good. It's good for the pub. I love nothing more than a packet of peanuts with a pint.
Yeah, you see, I'm more of a bacon fries. You know the bacon fries?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Jesus, bacon fries.
No, there's too little in them.
What?
The size of the little things.
I know, they're very small. Yeah, sorry, if you were who makes those?
KP, I think.
Mr. KP, yeah? Keith Purcell, or whatever your name is. Mr. KP, start making those bacon fries. You're right, Adrian.
The bags are too small.
1 bag of bacon fries is not enough. You end up buying 6 bags of bacon fries.
Correct.
Yeah. And as well, if you're selling Pringles in your bar, don't just sell the little tubs.
Sell the big ones.
Sell the big tubes.
Anyway, text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. Should we ban peanuts in public places? Well, nuts in public places.
So this would
I just don't think that's practical.
So this would basically mean that you couldn't open anything that contained nuts on the loose, on the train, on an aeroplane, on anything like that. So, is it worth banning something like that for what percentage of the population?
A very small percentage, an extremely small percentage. But it is so...
I suffer with hay fever. Should flowers be banned? I'm not asking for flowers to be banned on
or grass. You get pollen from grass.
So who brings grass onto... Well, there's a few people that bring grass onto the Lewis,
I know
actually.
people who've brought grass into work.
Really? That's not appropriate.
No, it's not, absolutely.
What sort of industry do they work in?
This industry.
Really? Oh, it's rampant, isn't it? Rampant.
It is.
No, but the point is, I suffer with a pollen allergy. I'm not going to call
But
for...
but it's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you. Hay fever is not going to kill you. It's just going to have
somebody somewhere has died from hay fever.
I wouldn't mind if it was banned in public places or on airplanes. If it's a life or death situation in some cases, you need to have consideration for other people with serious allergies, says that message.
Okay, text us now. Yes or no? It's a simple question. Should nuts be banned from public places and public transport? Not yet, Adrian. No, sorry.
What do you mean not yet?
It's 15. So relax.
Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. Should we ban the consumption of peanuts or nuts in general in public places for the very small percentage of people who suffer the severe?
And what you're saying? What percentage?
Very small, less than 1% as far as I know.
That seems mad that we should all, like as I said, I'm travelling on the Lewis tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going on the Lewis tomorrow. Should I not be able to open a packet of KP peanuts?
Apparently not.
So what would happen? I don't know anything about nut allergies. What would happen if I ate a packet of peanuts on the loose tomorrow?
Realistically, nothing.
No, listen.
No, it's a particular problem on an aeroplane where the air is recirculated, okay? So say you had a packet of peanuts and you shake them into your hand and some of the dust comes off them and it goes in through the air conditioning and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, but hear me out here.
But
okay,
on a train or a loose, that's not really as much of an issue.
So if I'm on the loose tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm eating peanuts with my hand, yes?
Yeah.
And I then rub my hand on the bar of the loose. You know the bar.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're...
And then someone with a peanut allergy then puts their hand on that bar. Could I potentially kill that person?
Potentially, but highly unlikely. It's more of a problem on an aeroplane where the air is recirculating.
Okay, so if I have peanuts in my mouth and I sneeze or something and the sneeze goes near somebody that has a nut allergy, could I kill them? I just want to know, am I murdering people by eating peanuts? I like peanuts.
Yeah, I like peanuts myself.
Love cashews.
No, I hate cashews.
What?
No, cashews are for scum.
Well, I eat cashews.
No, they're disgusting.
They're a healthy option.
No, they're horrible.
Sorry, by the way, Adrian thinks a big bag of Planters dry roasted is healthy. It's not actually healthy. It's not healthy.
Alan, you're on 98FM. How are you, Alan?
How are you doing?
Alan, your son has a very bad nut allergy.
Very, very bad, yeah.
So bad that he can't even handle them in his hand.
Yeah.
What happens when he does that?
Can't touch them, can't eat them, can't eat anything with nut oil that's cooked in nut oil.
Right.
He has to carry an Anna pen with him 24 hours a day.
Because unfortunately that's what happened to that poor girl a couple of years ago in town. She didn't have access to a pen or whatever. So, say on an aeroplane, what happens?
Well, we went in on holidays there 2 years ago to Spain, to Campbell's Park, and we had to let the air hostess know that he had a very bad nut allergy.
Okay.
And my wife had paperwork and that, just, you don't think you're exaggerating anything. Yep. And they made an announcement over the flight that to be no nuts served on the flight.
So that's obviously what happened on my flight and what happened on Adrian's flight as well.
Yeah.
And I could hear, Alan, no, it didn't bother me myself, but I could hear people on my flight to Gatwick a couple of weeks ago tutting and rolling their eyes to heaven, and all you could hear was, oh, Jesus, oh, for God's sake, all that sort of stuff. Do you get that a lot?
You would, yeah. Like, I'll be honest, I would have been one of them people myself.
Until your young fella came along?
Yeah, I would have been one of them myself where I would have gave out and moaned to myself, but it's only when it came, in their family I realised how severe it was,
And have you, obviously you must have found out at some stage that he had this allergy. How did you find that out?
We were out for something to eat one Sunday. He was only about a year old, and he touched stuff, obviously it was something to do with nuts in the restaurant, and his airways started closing up and his face and eyes closed up.
Oh my God, that's...
went balloon.
Wow.
And he got all blisters and stuff all over his face, so we rushed him to hospital and they done tests, and he had a very, very bad nut allergy. Now, he's nearly 15 now, and it's still not improving.
Okay, so is it so severe that it could potentially be fatal?
Oh, yeah, his airways can block up, yeah.
Wow, okay. Right.
Oh, yeah, it's life and death. Like, he has to carry an Anapen.
Okay,
He goes to his friend's house for a sleepover or anything, he has to bring the Anapen with him.
Okay, so would me eating a packet of Planters peanuts on the loose affect your son if he was in the same carriage?
I don't... Honestly, I'm not gonna tell a lie. I don't know.
Because it's bloody scary. It's bloody scary if it would.
It would, but there's a lot of people, bar it's in somebody's family, people actually don't realise how severe it is. We never realised till it happened to our little lad, you know?
Well, here's a text message. I want you to see how you deal with this, Alan. It says, a life or death consideration. I'm sorry, but how many people have died in the last 5 years because of nuts on public transport? Because that is effing lunacy, says that person. In other words, what that person...
I don't know of any. I do know of one girl who did die from a nut allergy. It wasn't on public transport, though. It was... it was on a concert.
So you obviously can't bring him to a Chinese restaurant or anything like that, where a lot of the stuff is done in nuts.
Every restaurant, like we go out for in the weekend there on a Sunday for our dinner, like, and we'd any restaurant we're not familiar with, we'd have to ask. Can you just check with the chef that it's not cooked in nut oil?
Well, you should stay away from, Adrian. What's the name?
Or stuff the food, you know.
What's the name of that place, Adrian? There's a burger place, Alan, that cooks all its stuff in peanut oil. What's it called?
Don't know.
There's a burger place.
There is places that use nut oil. Now, a lot of the places don't. It's an awful lot of the restaurants cook in nut oil. But we can go out for dinner on a Sunday there, and 9 times out of 10, we know if we're going to a restaurant, we know, right, we're all using it. And we go to some places regularly, and they know us, you know.
Yeah, so they know not to
they know the allergies that Connor'd have and stuff.
Well, God love Connor. It's not an easy thing to grow up with. And as you said, it's something that even if you brought him to a theme park, if you brought him to Disneyland or something like that, you just don't know.
You just have to be very careful, when
they're coming in contact.
Like, he's very good. He's brilliant. He knows himself now because he's nearly 15 and he knows. And even, it's everything down to a bar of chocolate.
So, poor Connor, I'm just thinking, one of my favourite dishes, Alan, is in the Chinese restaurant. It's chicken satay skewers.
Oh, which has nuts.
Yeah, poor Connor has never been able to have a chicken satay skewer, has he?
No. Even a chicken curry, he won't eat chicken curry outside the home. When the wife cooks chicken curry at home, he'll eat it.
Jesus. It's something
you
never think of.
4 or 5 restaurants he likes to go to because he knows he can eat away like he's okay, you know.
All right, thanks very much indeed, and the best of luck to him. Thank you. By the way, that story I was just reminding myself of, it was the story of a young girl called Emma Sloan, and this is nearly 4 years ago. Her mother, they were out for a pre-Christmas meal with her family when she accidentally ate a nut-based sauce and suffered a severe allergic reaction. But when her mother rushed to a nearby pharmacy to get help, she was refused a life-saving adrenaline injection because she didn't have a prescription. And it was a very sad story at the time, but that will show you what a nut allergy can do.
And
anyway, should we ban them on public transport? Most people are saying no. Maybe on airplanes, though.
Is there, where would you get an EpiPen?
In a pharmacy.
No, but can you do restaurants and bars not supply them? Can I get one in 98FM now?
No. You get them on prescription. Isn't that how that young one died?
Yes, but was it the law not changed after that? In other words, should every company not be forced to have EpiPens?
No, it's up to the individual.
But sometimes the individual
might... that young fella carries one with him all the time.
Yeah, but sometimes you'd forget to carry it. That just seems bizarre that...
It's like if you're diabetic, it's your responsibility to look after yourself.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, what else have you got for me?
Here we go. Wait till you have a listen to this. Adrian, you grew up in the 40s, was it, or something like this?
No, the 30s.
The 1930s, Adrian grew up in during the Deep Depression.
Go on.
In fact, the first boat trip that Adrian was ever on was with Noah on his ark, wasn't it?
Get on with it.
Children nowadays, it seems, according to the news today, do not know some of the terms that we grew up with our childhood. 90%, Adrian, of children under the age of 15 were interviewed and asked, do they know what knick-knack is? And they didn't know.
Really?
They did not know what knick-knack is.
What young person doesn't know what a knick-knack is?
Well, you don't say what it is just yet. I think some of our listeners may not know what knick-knack is.
Sorry, everybody listening to this show will know what a knick-knack is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. 90% of pre-teens were surveyed and asked, do you know what knick-knacking is? That is the correct term, knick-knacking, and they hadn't got a clue what it is. But how would they know? Would your kids know what knick-knacking is?
I would have thought kids still do knick-knacks, obviously not.
Don't say what it is.
Do they not still do
knick-knacks?
knick-knacks?
It's our little secret from the 1940s, okay?
Do they not still do knick-knacks, no?
Well, have you been knick-knacked when was that time you were
we live out in the middle of nowhere. No child is
Don't give it away.
Is going to run 2 miles to my house to do a knick-knack.
Okay, let's see if anybody knows what a knick-knack is. You'd be surprised how many people don't know. Text us 087 798 98 98. 087 798 98 98. What is a knick-knack? As I said, 90% of teenagers hadn't got a clue what a knick-knack was when they were asked what it was. And how would they?
Okay, we're going to take
I know none of my nieces or nephews or cousins if I ask them.
know what a knick-knack is?
No, of course
I thought they still did them.
What?
I thought they still did them. We'll take a quick break. We're back in a second.
If it's happening in Dublin, we're on it.
98FM's Dublin Talks.
Morning, Dublin. It is Thursday morning. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks.
And I was right. We asked you, did you know what knick-knacking was? And very few of you actually...
Sorry, lots of people did.
But loads of people, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Lots of people have gotten it right. Lots of people.
Loads of people don't.
Margaret.
Good morning.
Good morning, Margaret. How are you?
I'm delighted to be on Jeremy's show.
Oh, you're
Thank
delighted
you
to be on Jeremy's show. Margaret, what is a knick-knack?
Many young kids nowadays wouldn't know because they're too lazy sitting behind their laptops and computers.
Ah, right.
It's when you knock. It's when you knock on the door and then you run and you hide and you look at the parents coming in saying, "Who the f the hell was that?"
Yep. So you basically you knock on your neighbour.
There was a video went viral there. An old woman, she wanted to do a knick-knack with her grandson and her daughter-in-law.
That's right. I remember
and it happened in Ringsend.
In fact, that the photo of that woman is on our Twitter right now at Dublin Talks 98FM.
That was so funny.
Knick-knacking is basically where you knocked on the neighbour's door. And
how mad were we?
Yeah, and you ran. And then you hid, and you could see the L1 coming out the front door and screaming, "Who was that? I'll get you, little Kennedy." Yeah, that's what she used to say. And you'd always pick...
Little Dixon. Dixon's show.
You'd also regularly pick on the L1 who's going to give you the best reaction.
Exactly. The one that you're going to wind up or the one that don't...
I know, but I feel very...
Get off my wall.
I feel very bad now, Margaret, because we used to do it on a woman who had rheumatism in her legs, and we used to knick-knack on her door.
Bad man.
And she used to have to get up out of her seat and answer the door. And you used to see she'd open the door and she'd have a big smile on her face because she thought someone was calling at the door and there'd be nobody there.
Oh.
And we were kids.
But there was an Ellen that lived on my road, and if a football went into the garden or anything, she used to put a knife in it.
Oh, there was always one of those, yeah.
We all had a friend who took the whole knick-knacking thing too far.
In what way?
I'll tell you what my friend did once. He only did it once and he got bashed around the place for it. He got some dog poo.
Oh, the dog poo.
He put it in a paper bag. Yeah. No, he put it in a paper bag and he set the paper bag on fire. And then did a knick-knack and legged it, and the L one came out and she stood on the paper bag.
Oh, Jesus.
And she got covered in dog poo.
That's actually arson.
It is.
That's ridiculous.
It is. He got bashed around the place.
Well, listen, I'm enjoying Jeremy's show.
That's good, good.
Thanks very much, Margaret. Thank you. It is Jeremy's show. Yes, it is. While we're talking about knick-knacking as well...
Hang on. Jody is on the line about knick-knacking. Jody, you're on 98FM. How are you, Jody? Hello, Jody. Oh. No. No, there's nobody there, Jamie.
No,
Jody.
Look, you pressed the wrong button on the thing. That's why. Look, there's all buttons pressed that shouldn't be pressed.
What button are you talking about?
So all these buttons are lit up and they shouldn't be lit up. Look at that red button.
No, there's nobody there. I can see there's nobody there. Hello, Jody. No, you see, there's nobody there. No.
Yes, while we're talking about knick-knacking, what other stuff did we do as kids that we don't do anymore? Because I'm just looking at some of the text messages coming in. Text us now, 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Text or WhatsApp. What stuff did we do as kids that kids don't do anymore? Like, when was the last time your house was egged? That was a common thing when we were kids, egging someone's house.
Or egging anything, actually.
Why don't people egg things anymore?
Oh, no, let's not encourage it.
I'm not encouraging it, but I'm just saying, why don't we egg things anymore?
Because it's not very pleasant.
When was the last time you saw a rope around a lamppost in a housing estate?
No, I haven't seen one.
Do you remember the swing?
Yeah,
the swing thing. Whatever happened to those things? Where are they gone?
Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. Stuff or games that we used to do when we were kids.
I'm going to go and egg your house tonight, actually. When you're in bed later on. Yep. Going to egg your house. Where do you live again?
Out in the middle of nowhere.
The Knoll, is that where you live?
No, I don't live in the Knoll, no.
Where is it?
Jody, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Jody?
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
We used to have a few different ways of playing knick-knack.
Yeah, go on.
One was we used to get like fishing, like catco.
Yep.
And you would tie around it, because I grew up in a set of flats, so what we used to do was you tie it around the letterbox and go down the stairs and go over onto the next block, and you would pull the catco, knocking at the door, and they come out, and as soon as they close the door again, you would knock again.
So you'd use a bit of catgut and you'd pull at the knocker on the door.
Yeah. And every time they closed it, they would literally close it and you would start pulling it again. And as soon as they opened it, because the catgut is that fine, it's something to see, so you can't see it.
You see, I think, Jody, the whole thing about knick-knack is now gone because people don't have knockers anymore. I mean, the woman that lived across...
Everyone has knockers.
No, the woman across the road from us when I was growing up, Jody, she had huge knockers. Absolutely. Sorry? No, this is a true story. The woman that lived across the road from us had massive knockers.
What's that got to do with knick-knacking?
You can't knick-knack without knockers.
Well, obviously.
And we used to go, like, it's not the same ringing the doorbell, but we used to go up to the woman and we used to put our hand on her knockers and we used to go bang, bang, bang on her knockers. But they don't have who has a knocker?
That's called sexual assault these days.
Well, it probably is.
It is. Here's one for you. Apparently, this actually makes a lot of sense, yeah? Modern day knick-knacking is running around the estate with a Sky remote in your hand, changing the channels on people as they're watching the TV in their sitting rooms. What a great idea!
Can you do that? Is that possible?
That is just the coolest idea.
Get that person on the show. I want to find out if that's possible.
Of course it's possible.
No, every remote control is individual.
Every Sky remote is the same. Every Sky remote is the same.
No, it's
not.
Yes, it is.
No,
I'm sorry.
Hang on, I have 2 Sky boxes in my house and the remote works both.
Yeah, but that's for your house. Every house has a different Sky. Yes.
No, a Sky remote is a Sky remote.
Jody, have you got Sky?
I do.
And it's
Jesus,
all remotes still work on that.
Can I just say to the both of you there, isn't it a great life the both of you have? I can't afford Sky. Where's my Sky?
What have you got?
I can't afford Sky.
What have you got?
Have you got the Sky Sports channels, Jody?
I don't. I did have. I got rid of them.
Me too. Yeah.
All these people with their Sky Sports and their movie channels. I can't afford that.
Sorry. How do you watch telly then? With a little wind-up aerial or something?
No, I have Virgin, but I can't.
You have to pay for that as well.
Yeah, I know, but I can't afford Sky Sports. How can people fire?
I don't have Sky Sports either.
You did.
Anyway,
up until a year ago.
That's the coolest form of knick-knacking. I have to give that a try. Running around.
Can I say one more thing that was good years ago? Was can you remember when he lived in the flats, right? The toilets, the person's toilet was on the balcony.
The person's toilet was on the balcony?
Jesus, where did you...
like the toilet window. The toilet window was on the balcony.
Oh, sorry, right, yeah.
So we used to put your hands through the window and pull the chains.
So did you grow up in the slums or something?
I know what you're saying.
Street flats.
Same thing.
I know exactly.
What's he talking about?
The window for the toilet was on the balcony, the common balcony.
Oh, the common balcony. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And you just stick your hand in the window and pull the toilet.
Why would you do that?
Just for the hell of it.
Is that Sky remote control thing really? Of
course, it makes perfect sense. A Sky remote is a Sky remote.
Now, when I was a kid, I don't know how many of you did this. When I was a kid, I went on holidays once and I got a laser gun on holidays. Remember the laser guns? And we used to annoy the hell out of the neighbours at our back. So the neighbours were out the back of our house and we used to shine laser guns onto their telly when they were sitting there having their dinner in the living room. That was great crack. Aren't laser guns brilliant?
Can I tell you what this person did? He's in work and he can't talk to us, right?
Yeah.
Not only did he change the channels on people as they're sitting in their house, yeah?
That's not possible. I'm after getting a text message. It's not possible.
How is it not possible?
Because
you go right up to the window and
each Sky remote control is...
It's not.
Yes.
You're wrong, Jeremy.
No, I'm not.
You're 100% wrong. A Sky... If you walk into Power City, you can go and buy a Sky remote.
Yes, but you have to program it to your Skybox. You do, I'm telling you.
You don't, I said.
But you do.
You have to program it to your television, not to your Skybox.
No, you have to program it to your Skybox. Well, anyway, go on.
he, while he was changing the channels, so there's Mrs. O'Brien, she's sitting there watching Coronation Street. I love Coronation Street.
Yeah, because all people that watch Coronation Street sound like that.
That's what she's saying.
What did she say again?
I love Coronation Street.
Okay, that's what she said.
Yeah. And then suddenly along comes this little brat, and he changes it onto 852 or whatever the porno channel is, or Babe Station or one of them.
Sorry, what's Babe Station?
It's got women in it. Kind of half-nudie women.
Why don't I don't have Sky Sports and I don't have Babe Station? What's going on with the world? There's people in prison.
Can I just say, as a married man, I don't think your wife would approve of you putting on Babe Station.
Well, can I just say there's people in prison at the moment that have more TV channels than I have in my gaff.
Anyway,
Babe Station is a... What is
soft porn. Anyway, so you can imagine the L ones. There she is sitting. I love Coronation
That's
Street.
what she said, yeah.
And then suddenly on comes, fancy ringing me, big boy.
How do you know what Babe Station is?
I heard.
So what's soft porn?
John, you're on 98 FM. What did we used to do as kids that they don't do anymore?
Rounders. Play rounders out in the sun in the summer.
They just don't. They just don't.
I remember when I was about 12 or 13, two things stood out. Number one, whenever Wimbledon came round, right?
Everyone was out playing tennis.
All my mates seemed to be mad for tennis.
Yep.
And rounders, and that just... I don't think either of those two situations exist anymore.
I haven't seen kids playing rounders in years.
No, neither have I.
Hopscotch doesn't exist anymore either.
It does in Jeremy's estate, and then he calls the cops.
John, have you ever watched Babe Station before?
No, I don't have to. I don't have to do things like that, Jeremy.
Well, every man does.
Really?
Yeah. Every man needs a bit of titillation.
Anyway, I now think that's an extremely funny prank, is going around the estate, getting all the L1s watching Coronation Street. And
what did they say again? What did the L1 say?
I love Coronation Street.
That's what they say, yeah.
And then flick the channel onto a porn channel. It's hilarious.
Somebody that works in the IT department of 98 FM is obviously very savvy here, because I've tried to go onto Babe Station's website and it's blocked from 98 FM. Who would have done such a thing? Why would you block that website?
Because somebody was obviously on it all the time.
It's absolutely blocked. You cannot access Babe Station.
Is that those lads on the breakfast show, Cooper and Luke, are they at it?
That's a scurrilous accusation.
No, I'm just wondering, because they're on before us.
And were they accessing Babe Station?
Yeah.
Is this thing where there's women sitting in front of a TV screen saying, call me now on 1550 and I'll make your dreams come true?
That's her, yeah. Robert, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Robert?
How's it going?
Robert, let me ask Robert, have you ever rang Babe Station?
No, I never rang. No, but you used to get the free 10 minutes. 10 to 12, you get a few 3 minutes.
You know too much.
So hang on, we can't find one man that will admit to ringing Babe Station. How did they stay in business?
No, sure you couldn't. Sure, they were in England, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who? Somebody obviously rings these women.
People in England.
Yeah, people in England.
And I've always wanted to know, what did they say to you when you ring them?
Don't know.
What are you doing, darling?
They always have the same accent. Hello, darling. I'm here to make your dreams come true.
As she stands there doing her ironing.
Are you watching me, darling?
I don't think there's anybody on Babe Station doing their ironing, is there?
Anyway, you had a great childhood prank, which was?
Well, I don't know about it now, but back in the day when we'd finished school, it was a cold winter's day. We'd go in and fill up our ma's kettles, or they'd fill up just a big basin and just throw water all over the street. And then come that evening, it would all be frozen, and we'd just sit there and watch all the cars skid everywhere.
That is actually very
highly
dangerous.
Dubious, highly dangerous.
I know, that's what I'm saying nowadays. If I seen my own kids doing it, you know what I mean?
So you literally, you used to pour water on the ground hoping it would freeze.
Then it would freeze, yeah, and then we'd just sit on the edge of the wall and watch the cars skid all over the place.
So you can't...
If they went near each other, we'd all just leg it.
See, you can't do that anymore, Robert. Have you noticed this? And I don't know if you have, Adrian. Winters in Ireland anymore aren't cold.
Not cold, not on average, they're not.
When was the last time?
When
was the last time you saw ice on the ground?
We did have a little bit last winter.
When was the last time? Remember, you used to have back when you were kids, you'd have icy nights.
You still have them.
I don't remember the last time there was a night.
We had the big snow and all a few years ago. Well, 7, 8, 9 years
It
ago.
was about 8 years ago, but we're not a cold country anymore. We used to cut a hole in the football and fill it with rocks. Oh my God, yeah, okay, hang on, wait to hear this story now. We're talking about, we've actually moved on. We're talking about pranks that you used to play as kids that probably
But actually we're not, because we're out of time.
Oh, can we not talk about that last one there?
No time.
Just read the text.
No time.
Just read the text.
Look,
we used to cut...
Okay, This is my show.
I'll read the text. Okay, we used to cut a hole in the football and fill it with rocks and play...
Good morning, Dublin. Thursday morning, I'm Adrian Kennedy, and this is 98FM's Dublin Talks. Racist graffiti has been spotted in Tallaght, right beside the Lewis line, and in full view of thousands of passing passengers every day. Now, it was brought to public attention by local people before profit politician Nicky Coles. The graffiti reads, "Refugees not welcome, Polish fans hooligans," and other stuff that makes zero sense. Now, Nicky contacted the local council immediately to have it removed. He said, "We believe it's imperative that immediate action is taken to get rid of it. Myself and others have already contacted the council, and we believe it should be dealt with rapidly." And people before profits, Nicky Coles joins me on the line. Nicky, welcome to 98FM.
Good morning to you.
Now, Nicky, tell me about when you were first made aware of this graffiti.
A colleague of mine rang me about it. He'd been travelling on the Lewis and had seen it the evening before, and it's visible from the Lewis, not from the street.
No, because it's under a bridge. It's under a building, yeah. Yes, yeah. But it is fairly nasty graffiti. Like I said, it says things like refugees not welcome, Polish fans are hooligans. In fact, we have a photograph of it on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. If you want to have a look at this graffiti. This... any idea who this might have been? Are we talking about kids here? Or are we talking about somebody who's actually got some sinister intent here?
I don't really know. It's hardly small children. It's quite big. It's long. It's a couple of meters long. It's quite high. Like it would require an adult, somebody of an adult size to have done it. Mm. So other than that, I couldn't really say. Okay,
so we're not talking about young kids. We're talking about.
We're not talking about small children, no.
Right. Like I said, we've had much conversation about refugees and whatever over the last couple of years coming into Ireland. And it always saddens me when I hear that we have a racist problem here in Ireland as well. Is this particular part of Tallaght overrun with refugees, or why do you think somebody is writing stuff like this?
Well, the country's hardly overrun with refugees, never mind Tallaght. So... As to what the state of mind is, the people that do it, I couldn't speculate. They clearly don't like refugees. I mean,
but obviously, as a local representative from the Tallaght area, this isn't the sort of image you want going out to the wider world of Tallaght.
It's not, and I think it should be discouraged as much as possible.
This has the graffiti been removed yet, or is there any sign that it's going to be removed?
No, it's not actually that simple, because at first when I viewed it, it was from a distance, and I assumed it was on a wall that had been rendered and painted. In fact, the wall is finished with it's cladded with what appears to be polished granite, and it's been sprayed onto that. So my original intention was that we would simply paint over it, but I didn't want to do that. Make a bad situation worse. So look, it's going to require some expertise to remove it, so hopefully it'll be done today,
Okay, so hopefully it'll disappear today. But as I said, from the public reaction to it, obviously people are shocked and don't want to see stuff like this.
Of course not. It's offensive. And deliberately so.
All right. So once again, this graffiti has appeared at the Lewis track. What stop is that?
It's just as you approach and as you leave the terminus.
Oh, right. Yes. I know where it is. Yeah. And if anybody knows who might have done it, please get in touch with the Gardaí, because it's just not the sort of image that we need of the Tallaght area or Dublin in general. People before profits, Nicky Cools, thank you very much indeed for joining us on 98 FM. And if you want to have a look at that graffiti, it is on our Facebook page right now at facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. So basically what Nicky has said is, we believe it's imperative that immediate action is taken to get rid of it. Myself and others have already contacted the council, and we believe it should be dealt with rapidly. And as I said, there's been a fair degree of public outrage to the graffiti, especially among people in the Tallaght area. However, there are obviously some people who feel that way about refugees. People who decided to put that up there, that they're not welcome in Ireland. I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. John, you're on 98 FM. How are you, John?
How are you? Good morning, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thanks.
In relation to these racist attacks, okay, you have to understand, I personally think there is a huge rising resentment in relation to the fact that we are overrun by foreign nationals. Many of them are in jobs where they have little or no English whatsoever, and they are put in front of the public, an English-speaking public, who, expect to be met with professionals that understand, can speak, and more importantly, understand the English language. I just think, that this kind of stuff, I'm not saying, it's right, but you have to understand where certain people are coming from.
So what are you saying, that there is a huge resentment towards refugees?
Of course there is, Adrian. How could there not be?
What do you mean, how could there not be? A refugee, John, I'd hate to have to remind you, is somebody who has come to this country to get away from whatever life they're trying to get away from, or whatever country they're trying to get away from.
Adrian, you, me, and the entire rest of the world knows that a lot of people that come into this country claiming refugee status, claiming that they're coming from a country that if they return back to, they'll be, genitally mutilated or murdered. In many cases, that is not the case. And they're basically just trying to pull a fast one. And they're trying to get into
in some cases, John, in some cases. But hang on, John. In some cases, okay, we have a couple of hundred, and sadly we haven't taken in more as many as we committed to, but we've a couple of hundred Syrian refugees here in Ireland, okay? All of those people have been brought to this country to get away from the biggest war-torn country on the planet, and we resent them, do we?
How many of these people do you think, okay, Adrian, look at this country, look at the size of this country, right? We're a tiny little country with a population, including the north, of some 6.7, 6.8 million, right? Now, realistically, Adrian, now I just want you to think about this question before you answer. Realistically, how many foreign nationals or refugees, or whatever the case may be, do you think we can take into this country before there is a situation where the indigenous population of the country are being failed or coming second, on the scale of importance, or second on the scale of priority to this massive influx of people? How much more, how many more people do you think we can take?
I don't have the precise figures here. I will get them in a minute. We committed to taking several thousand, 3,000 or 4,000 Syrian refugees. We've only taken less than a quarter of that amount into the country so far. So,
right. And how many of those people, right, we've only taken a quarter so far. Now, how many of those people do you think are taking the piss?
From Syria? None. From Syria, none. How can you possibly be taking the piss out of it when you're coming from a country like Syria?
Adrian, I'll say it, and I'm quite sure many people after me will say it. This is a tiny little country in the Atlantic Ocean. This is not Great Britain. This is not the United States. This is not,
So what you're saying is understandable, even though you're not condoning this graffiti.
I'm absolutely not condoning
it. But you're saying it is understandable that people have an issue against refugees.
I think that when it comes to refugees, when it comes to foreign nationals in general. I think there is a rising, well, I don't think it, I know it, and so do you. There's a rising resentment there, and I think, you have to look at the reasoning behind that resentment.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, John. You have to look at the reasoning behind that resentment. Do you resent refugees being in Ireland? Do you think it's okay for somebody to put up graffiti in Tallaght saying refugees not welcome? Call me right now on 6797 981. Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks with Mattress Express at Des Kelly Interiors, Long Mile Road, where quality mattresses cost less. Sharon is here with Thursday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. Bank of Ireland say their controversial ad wasn't intended to cause offence. The bank was forced to pull a social media campaign encouraging people to move in with their parents to save for a mortgage. That's after it received a major backlash online. 4 men have been arrested in connection with robberies in the southeast after major searches in Dublin. A number of raids took place around Clondalkin, Ballyfermot and Pearse Street yesterday morning, where officers uncovered stolen property including a trailer and power tools. 1 in 10 taxis in the city don't have their details on a new safety app. Drivers can be fined €40 for not linking their personal details to the NTA's app, which allows customers to check that drivers and cabs are registered. And Oberstown Children's Detention Centre wants the press to stop calling its residents yobs. The North Dublin facility says instead of using terms like thug or criminal, the inmates should simply be referred to as young people detained in Oberstown. And now you're up to date on 98FM.
98FM. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Good morning, Dublin. How are you today? My name is Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98FM's Dublin Talks with Mattress Express at Des Kelly Interiors, Long Mile Road, where quality mattresses cost less. The doctors couldn't fix your daddy's head. His brain is gone to sleep, and they can't wake it back up. They were the words of a Dublin mother to her 5 children minutes after she returned from identifying her husband's dead body at the morgue. 40-year-old Mark Downey was knocked off his motorbike and killed by an SUV driven by 70-year-old Jack McNally, who last year was convicted of dangerous driving. The court heard how his Jeep had no brakes and a number of other serious problems. It was described by the Gardaí as the worst vehicle they had tested in 10 years. It had failed an NCT test 4 years earlier, yet it was still on the road. Driver McNally was spared jail. Mark was on his way to buy was on his way when the collision happened and was flung into the air on the N2. He was on his way to buy a new motorbike on the N2, Dublin to Derry Road. Tragically, his helmet came off and he died from multiple internal head injuries. Such a sad story. Mark Downey's dad, Peter, yesterday called for elderly drivers to be retested every 3 years to ensure that their reactions, eyesight and general roadworthiness. And he joins me on the line. Peter, welcome to 98FM.
Good morning, Adrian. Hi, how are you?
Good morning, Peter, and thank you very much indeed
you're welcome.
For joining us. Let's go back to when...
Mark was actually very interested in his motorbikes. Very safe, roadworthy person. Everything was top class with the machines he had. And he was going actually up to look at a vintage motorbike that he was purchasing, which was a bike like the very first bike Mark had. So he's heading up to Monaghan to actually have a look at it, with a view of bringing it home then at the weekend. Mark approached from Carrymacross towards Monaghan town, and he was in a convoy of vehicles for approximately 15 kilometres. He was probably around third at the head of it. Never bothered overtaking because it wasn't his scene. His scene was out for the spin, a lovely day. and drive within normal regulations. So it came to a point on the road where Mark was a broken line, because that particular road is a dangerous road as it is. So Mark overtook the vehicles and went to the top of the line, and within a quarter of a mile of it, Mark was dead. Mark had the police said he had 15 metres was the distance he had from the time that this person came straight out onto the main N2 road from what would be a normal Borean type road, and collided straight in front of him. Mark tried to avoid him right and left, but within 15 metres there's very little you can do, and that's how the impact was so heavy that Mark's helmet even came off, even though it was well secured. The person driving the vehicle was Mr. Jack McNally. There was a court case, but the DPP charged Jack McNally with dangerous driving, causing death, and driving an unroadworthy vehicle, and he actually pleaded not guilty to both cases.
This man did no jail time. Did you want him to do jail time?
No. The reason, Adrian, that we asked for this whole case didn't need a court case. Everything was obvious. The engineers and the guards, forensic people, pointed out how dangerous this vehicle was. They said it was the worst vehicle that they have tested after 10 years after fatal road accidents. Like the vehicle had no brakes on each of the four wheels. There was no brake fluid in the reservoirs. The pipes were dried, were full of dust. The four tyres, you cut your hands off the metal coming out through the tyres. Chassis itself was actually had cracks on it from previous impact. That's just to mention a few of them. He'd taken the vehicle out of a test centre 4 years earlier, and they thought that the road, it wasn't roadworthy. And that it needed an awful lot of things done. He continued to drive it around his locality and came out onto roads like the N2, which are a highly dangerous road. So from our family's point of view, we were put through a very, very bad period of time for about 2 years. He kept on putting the case out, believed that he wasn't capable of standing trial, all of these things. So there was, from our family's point of view, we could see no way out of this situation itself. We were going to look at a man being sentenced, and the judge did tell him he was going to sentence him to 10 years in prison. We asked the judge not to send him to prison.
Why?
The reason being was the man was 70 years of age at that stage. He was 72 at the end of the trial. He showed no remorse whatsoever. Never apologised to Mark's wife.
Surely that would be more of a reason that he should be jailed.
Well, the way we looked at it was that there was an alternative way of approaching this. There was no good coming out of this trial as far as we were concerned. So we asked the judge in our impact statement to consider that Jack McNally would not go to jail, but that he would pay a large contribution of money to the rehab hospital for road injuries. Because we felt that Mr. McNally, we've seen it in many cases, would walk out the back door after a short period of time because of his age. And we would feel much more anger ourselves seeing that happening in 12 months, getting a phone call to say this person's walked out. I also felt that the judge made a brave decision. To do something like this was a brave decision from the judge's point of view, because it meant that Jack McNally had to sell a proportion of his land to pay for this. Now, it took us 10 months of two sittings in court before we actually got him to do this. He was reluctant to do it, but the judge made it happen. And I think, quite honestly, it was a very good way of punishing, addressing this situation, because he showed no remorse and he has to face it every day now.
Okay, now there's a couple of things as a result of this whole tragic incident with your son that you want to see happening. And the first one is to do with the NCT. and you believe that the NCT centres should actually have the power to seize cars and not let them back out of their building until they are rectified.
Adrian, but what I feel is, like, common sense here is that a reality, a vehicle that's a total danger on the road should not be allowed out of a test centre. What happened with Mark could happen with hundreds and hundreds of more people on the road. And if all we need is the NCT test people, like, our cars are tested every 4 years after a year old, and our drivers are never tested. But they get a driver licence, and they have a driver licence for life. Okay, so the only way of slowing this whole thing down is the NCT tests. That if a vehicle is of poor quality, danger on the road, hold it, impound it until everything is fixed right on it, or it's scrapped. And that is the only answer. We have to be accountable for our actions in life. And if people are becoming less accountable for their actions in life, more danger is going to be on the road.
So let's talk about older drivers. This man in his 70s, you could argue that it was nothing to do with his driving ability. It was to do with his irresponsibility for driving a car that was clearly a death trap. But you also want to see older drivers tested more frequently.
I do. The reason for this is Jack McNally had his eyes tested 7 weeks prior to the actual road accident. Jack McNally went and had his eyes tested, and all he had to do, and any doctor or optician will tell you, to renew your licence, all you have to do is read the top line of the eye test. And once you read that, the doctor is obliged to hand you a letter to say that you're fit to drive.
Really? I didn't know that. I didn't realise that. Somebody with really poor eyesight can read that top line, probably.
Absolutely. And that's all that's needed. I checked out with a few doctors myself and said, this is the situation. And that's not fair on doctors. Given a piece of paper like that over and find a few weeks after that a person like that is in a road accident. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, that Jack McNally had his glasses on the particular day. But my feelings on that is that we should have, like, we're in the age of virtual reality, and while I cannot see the government politically taking a stance on bringing something like this to forward, because politically it would affect their votes, but I do think it would be in their interest to get behind a number of virtual reality centres set up, get the insurance companies behind it to help its launch. Because it's also in their interest. Less accidents on the road means less payments for them. Set up virtual reality rooms where people will go in, and they would actually just go in themselves and just to see, just have themselves tested, and be honest with themselves. Am I a danger to anybody on the road, or am I not? By going in, sitting a proper eye test, peripheral eye test, night vision test, a response, just see how a person reacts, how they hold themselves on the road when they approach a turn, and they approach it with care, and the same way with a roundabout. Am I agile enough? Did I make the right decisions on certain things that was put in front of me, that would be normal things that would happen on a road in the event of traffic pulling out? Like, did I apply my brakes properly? Was my timing right? Was my reactions correct? Simple things like that. And at the end of the day, a person walks out of a centre like that, and they know, yes, look, I am not a danger to anybody in the road.
Now, some people, you mentioned about votes and politicians and blah, blah, blah. And other people believe that it is a bit of an insult to somebody who may have been driving since they were 18 and they're now 72. It's a bit of an insult to be testing somebody again who has more experience than most.
But the problem, I think you could take it from anybody once they get their driving test. You can go through all the different generations of people, and you'll find, like, younger people drive more aggressively, they get a little bit more confident on the road. Older people, reactions are not as quick as we'd like it to be. Maybe our hand-to-eye coordination is not 100%. Our response to a particular situation happening would be slightly different. I'm 68 years of age myself, and I consider myself capable of driving. But I would have
bother
no
you?
objection.
Would it bother you in 2 years then, Peter, to have to go through a driving test just because you're 70?
Absolutely, but people may say I'm saying this because my son unfortunately was killed in such a tragic accident. But I definitely would not. If I'm a liability to somebody on the road, I should not be on the road. If I'm not a liability, I should be driving with pleasure and enjoying my driving.
And how often would you,
that's the bottom line.
if you had your way, how often would you have elderly drivers, people from 70 onwards, how often would you have them tested?
I would actually start at around 60. I'd have every 3 years.
So you started at 60?
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
do a driving test every 3 years?
I do not a driving test. It's much you go into a centre. This would be a voluntary thing itself, because as I said, politically, I cannot see the government bringing out something like this. But voluntary, you should be able to go over to a centre and have yourself assessed itself, so that you would know.
But why would I want to do that voluntarily?
Because if you feel that you're a danger, you want to make sure that you're not a danger to other people on the road.
Yes, I think if you have a voluntary situation, people just won't bother, because nobody wants to admit that they're a danger on the roads.
Adrian, I totally understand that, but I cannot see the government doing something like this, which is necessary, whether it's 3 years or 5 years that you actually do it. It is necessary that we set the example to the rest of Europe. Look what we did with the plastic bag. The plastic bag was a huge success, and we're talking about a bag that was floating around on the road. As a government, they made a fantastic decision to eliminate them, and they eliminated that problem itself. Why can we not do that with life? Life is much more important than a plastic bag.
Okay, so as a 68-year-old, you would not object to being tested every couple of years, be it 3 years or 5 years, and you think that should be brought in from the age of 60?
Yes,
okay.
I do indeed.
Let me just wrap this up and put this again into context for people who've just joined us. Your son, Mark, was killed in a tragic accident. He was only 40. I was really taken aback, and I think an awful lot of people were taken aback by the comments from your daughter-in-law. Her heartbreaking quote in today's Star newspaper speaks about leaving the morgue and having to tell their 5 children that their daddy was never coming home. That must have been horrific for her.
What also didn't come across was, unfortunately, Sarah was actually in Wexford when this happened, and because of social media, the guards were very, very concerned that Sarah didn't hear it through social media, and they were trying to contact Sarah, and Sarah had to hear this over a phone. And that's, the guards had no choice than to do this. But that's what Sarah had to face. She's a very brave lady, a fantastic mother to her children, and she had to face all of this, and she's been strong in overcoming it. But Sarah, like every human being, has days that, her loved one has been taken away from her for something that he was absolutely nothing to do. Just the fact that somebody on the road was totally careless.
This was just over 3 years ago. 5 young children. How are the children?
At the moment, everything seems to be fine. They've been getting counselling and stuff like that over the last 2 years itself. I would say Mark died on July the 9th, 2014, and time is a great healer. I will say definitely, Adrian, that the first 2 years were like being in a tunnel, and you did not see any light at the end of it, because everybody was emotionally upset in different ways and behaving in different ways. We now, I think, have had a sort of settling-in period of time, if you can call it that, but one's always reminded of it, at certain instances during the year. But I would say that the children have themselves have a future ahead of them. As I said, they have a very strong mother with them. But if they didn't have the support that they have itself, I could certainly see them being badly affected from something like this itself. But thanks be to God, the children are coming on fine.
That's good to hear. All right, but look, I appreciate you talking to us, Peter. We're going to have a bit of a debate about this this whole issue of elderly drivers. Peter Downey, thank you very much indeed for joining us on 98 FM.
I thank you very much, Adrian, for taking it up there this morning for me.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
And we'd love to hear from you on 6797981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. You just heard Peter describe about the death of his son in an accident just 3 years ago, how the Jeep that the 70-year-old driver was driving had no brakes, a number of other serious problems. This man believes that elderly drivers, and he thinks it should come in for over 60s, should be tested every 3 to 5 years. And I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. Maureen, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Maureen?
Grand, how are you?
Good, Maureen. What did you want to say on this?
Well, I agree with people over 60 should be tested, but I think they should be tested every year. My dad, and a lot of his
Sorry,
friends
say that again, Maureen. Your dad what?
My dad is a bike driver.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the friends that he would have would also be bike drivers. So I know, and he's been in road accidents where cars have been involved, so people not looking out for them or being on the phone. And I agree that people definitely over 60 should be definitely tested every year.
Every year?
Yeah, definitely every year.
Now, are you talking about people on bikes or people just in general?
No, people in cars.
Over the age of 60, people in cars should be tested every year?
Yeah.
That's hardly practical, is it?
Oh, well, I think it is, because it's bad enough people under the age of 60 having been on the phone and different things distracting them, but
no,
even I know, even my grandparents, even I know, they'll be over 60. Even they didn't have the...
Now, you could argue, though, Maureen, that people over the age of 60 have more experience than you have, more experience than I have, and they should be, in theory, the best drivers on the road.
No, I think so, because when they did their test, it was a lot different than when we do our test now. There's a lot more you learn now than there was when they did their test. Like, my grandfather would have gotten his license without even sitting a test. It was back then where they only had to sign a piece of paper and their licenses were sent out to them.
No, and I know there was a period where there was such a backlog they ended up just dishing out a few...
giving them out, yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but what's he like as a driver?
Well, from my opinion, like, he'd be lethal, like.
Really?
Yeah.
You see, I look at my own dad, and my own dad is 73, and he's as good, if not a better driver than most people on the road. And I think it's a bit insulting to be saying, sorry, Mr. Kennedy, you're 73, we have to test your driving.
But I keep other people safe on the road, it will be better.
Okay,
but
do me a favour.
Will be better.
Okay, do me a favour, Maureen. Stay there for 1 second. I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. Should elderly drivers, and as I said, Peter Downey a couple of minutes ago was saying he's talking about drivers over the age of 60, be tested every 1 year or 3 years or 5 years? Or is that an insult to motorists? At the moment, all you have to do is essentially pass an eye test. And if your eyes are up to the job, if you can read the top line of the eye test, bang, away you go, you get your licence. I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Mattress Express at Des Kelly Interiors. Now available at Long Mile Road in Coolock.
98 FM.
Good morning, Dublin. It's Thursday morning. I'm Adrian Kennedy, and this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. We're in the middle of a conversation about elderly drivers and a call from a man called Peter Downey. Following the death a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, of his son Mark, who was killed in a tragic road accident. He was on his way to buy a new motorbike when the collision happened, and he was flung into the air on the N2 Dublin to Derry Road. Tragically, his helmet came off and he died from multiple internal head injuries. It's such a sad story. And the man driving the car is a man who was in his 70s. He was driving a car that shouldn't have been in a field, let alone on a public road. Mark Downey, or Peter Downey, believes that this man should not have been on the road. This man, like all elderly drivers, should be regularly tested. He'd like tests brought in for the over 60s. And I'd love to hear from you. Is that fair on people who've been driving all their lives? Isn't that a bit of an insult to say, I know you've been driving all your life, but we need to retest to see what your reactions are like? He says to ensure their reactions, their eyesight, their general roadworthiness, Peter Downey has said that they should be tested from the age of 60 very, very regularly. Carly, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Carly.
Hey, Adrian.
Carly, tell me about the elderly person in your estate.
Adrian, there's an L1 in my estate right now. When I tell you she can't drive, right, the L1 should have a white stick. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? She's all over the shop. I genuinely do not know how she even has to go to get into her car in the first place. And the only thing I can do to help and to put a bit of a stop to her is I constantly get the kids to go around and let the air out of our tyres. You know, just to stop her. Like, it's ridiculous.
To stop her driving?
Yeah. Adrian, she shouldn't be on the road. There's no way she hasn't got a clue. She can barely see over the steering wheel, and she's driving in the middle of the road. She's all over the place. Like, there's kids all over this estate. Do you know what I mean? And people have reported, I have myself.
Okay, so what is so bad about her driving?
She can't. She can't drive, Adrian. For instance, she's going, like, a three-way housing estate, right? Now, she doesn't drive fast. She's crawling along, right? But she's on the wrong side of the road. She parked the car side. She's all over the place. She doesn't look. The place is full of kids. Doesn't look out to see. She reverses out, just keeping her head straight. Doesn't turn her. Maybe she can't turn her head because she's now, and I don't know that she can't turn her head around, look through the back screen of the car. But she's an absolute disgrace. She should not be on the road.
Okay, and so when you say you've complained, to whom have you complained?
We have this like neighbourhood watch thing, right? So a load of us like said that the meeting wasn't about her, obviously, but she came up with it, and a load of us put our names forward, saying, you know, something has to be done about her. So then that person rings the guards. They look into it. But, of course, they have to catch her doing something wrong. Do you know what I mean? Now, she is doing wrong because she's putting, like, all the kids' lives at risk. She doesn't look out, Adrian, and she's driving on the I'm talking about the wrong side of the road. Do you know what I mean? She's this.
Okay, so we were asking the question. We were asking the question about whether or not elderly drivers should be retested, and if so, what age and how often?
I'd say 65, maybe.
65,
right?
Okay.
Every year. And you know what? For people that are saying, oh, you know, that's an insult to good drivers. Well, you know what? If you're that good, you've nothing to worry about. Go on in and do your test and you'll float back out. We're not a bother. If you have an issue about doing it, then you know, like that L1, knows well she's a danger on the road. There's no way the likes of her would go and get tested.
And let me go back to what you said. You sometimes send your kids around to let the air out of her tyres so that she can't drive.
Sometimes, yeah, the whole summer, Adrian, right? I've sent the kids around in the evening. That I know she won't get out then in the mornings when all the kids is out playing on the road. I'd send two of the umpires around to take the air out of the L1's tyres, and that's it. It's the only way I can kind of put a stop to her. Do you know what I mean? Now, three of my neighbours who are all right, they know that I to get the umpires to go around, and they'd agree, but they'd be laughing, saying, well, yeah, it's one way to stop her.
All right, stay there for 1 second. 6797981 is our telephone number. John, you're on 98 FM. How are you, John?
I'm good, Adrian. Adrian, my father-in-law, he's 81 years of age, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He's taught all these family how to drive. He's taught all these grandkids. He's never had an accident. He was a road safety instructor for years, and he started teaching people how to drive cars now. Surely they got a view on to test people when they're 60 years of age. Most of the people teach them in the learning centres are all over 60 years of age, you know? And you want to start teaching them after every year, start testing them after every year, you know? My father, he's 81 years of age and never had an accident in his life. Never, you know.
And
well, then he'd be grand, won't he, when he does the test?
Grand, yeah.
No, she's saying he'd be grand when he does the test.
Because what about every other tester that goes that you send your kids out to learning centres? They're all over 60, so you want to start teaching them and testing them every year.
Come here and tell you something. They might be over 60, right? They wouldn't be doing the job without upping their skills. Of course, they'd be tested regularly. You sat them. They hardly just qualify and then go in and do it for the rest of their lives.
I didn't use that. I'm not a staff, okay? Just him to that, okay? I'm only giving my point of view on the radio, okay? That sounds very
and it's shy.
Okay? It's not shy.
It is shy. You're talking about your father-in-law. You're getting all personal about it. If your father or father-in-law, whoever he is that good, he's nothing to worry about, has he?
Oh, he doesn't. But I'm just giving my point of view. He doesn't. Because people.
But then why are you worried about? But come here, hang on. Why would you object to it? But why would you object to it if he's that good? Why are you worried about it?
Did I say he's objecting to anything? I'm only putting the point of view across. He's 81 years of age. He taught all these kids how to drive past at first go. He's taught my own daughter now last year who's going for a test as well this year, and she'll pass as well. And there's nothing.
And you obviously believe that he's as good, if not better, than an awful lot of motorists on the road.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And
would he object to him having to do a test, Adrian? Really, would he have a problem?
To anyone doing a test? If you listen to me, I didn't object to anyone doing a test. I'm only putting my point of view across. Did you hear me saying object to him? No, because I didn't say that.
Do you have any issue with people having to say age 65 having to restate?
60 years of age. No,
65.
No.
But come here,
okay, what age then? What age?
Sorry?
What age, John, would you approve of a test?
Maybe when 7 years of age. Returning age, 69, 7 years of age. Then people are still driving up to that for a living.
Okay, so 70 years of age, maybe.
Yes.
And okay. And how often then after that?
I'd say every 2 years. Every 2 years. Most older people are more crashes on the road than the young people now. They're causing all the accidents. You know?
All right, stay there for 1 second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. I'd love to hear from you on this and find out whether or not you think it is a good idea to regularly test elderly drivers. Now, we were talking earlier on with Peter Downey. His son Mark was killed in an awful traffic accident 3 years ago. And he wants to see restrictions in place on elderly drivers. And he's 68 himself, this man. He would have no objection to having to go through a test again. I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. And Marie was on the phone to us a moment ago. Marie, we think we have the wrong number for you. So if you want to call us back, please, on 6797 981. Jay, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Jay?
Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning, Jay. How are you?
Not too bad. Adrian, I'd have no problem with them testing people once you get to a certain age. The roads have changed an awful lot in the last 20 years. We've an awful lot more motorbikes.
But that's extremely patronising to older drivers, as if they don't know.
No, it's not. No, I think everybody over the age of 70 should. I mean, when they done their first test and when they got on their first road, cars have changed, the roads have changed. That goes for everybody. I'm a professional driver, as you know. I should be tested. Every 5 to 10 years, I should be tested. Make sure I haven't lost what I learned at the start. I mean, the reactions get slower as we get older as well. That's just a given.
And when you hear people, like some people are saying this is an awful insult to people who've been driving all their lives.
And if you're confident enough, you'll have no problem with it.
And you also heard John saying his father-in-law is a better driver than most drivers on our roads.
No, we'll all say that about ourselves and about why I'm a better driver than everybody. You might be the best driver in the world. It's the other person that hits you. So do you have the reaction to get out of that way? And as we all know, as you get older, you don't. Your reaction time slow down.
Actually, what about that, John? I mean, would you know what your father-in-law's reaction times are like?
No, I wouldn't know it, but I know he's very, very careful. And I didn't object to anyone.
It's not that they were careful, John. It could be the other driver.
I understand that, I understand that, definitely do, you know. I do. I still don't think that at 60 years of age you should be going to get tested all the time. And most even bus drivers and truck drivers are at 60 years of age, you know. And still driving, you know.
All right, do me a favour, both of you. Stay on the line there for 1 second, if you can, please. And Carly, hang on there for a moment. Our telephone number is 6797981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. We're asking, should we have a driving test for elderly drivers, people over the age of 65 or 70? And if so, how often? How often should we make our more mature drivers sit a driving test? I'd love to hear from you on 6797981. Bernie, I'm going to talk to you straight after the ad break. You're furious at what you've been hearing. Why? You there?
I'm furious at what I've been hearing. I just don't agree with what Carly said about letting the air out of those ladies' tyres. You know, there's many ways to skin a cat. And by stopping her from driving down the road, it's not going to stop her. You know, but I don't have to say.
Stay there for 1 second. Stay there for a second. I'll be back to you straight after the ad break. Good morning, Dublin. It is Thursday. I'm Adrian Kennedy, and this is 98FM's Dublin Talks. We're in the middle of a conversation all to do with elderly drivers. And whether or not they should be retested over the age of 70, for example. At the moment, to the very best of my knowledge, all you have to do is pass an eye test. And as long as your eyes are grand, you're sorted. And from what I was hearing earlier on from Peter Downey, all you have to do is read the top line of the letters in the opticians and you're good to go. Now, there's an awful lot more to driving than just your eyesight. Reaction time, for example. And it is believed that the older you get, the less good your reaction times are. Geraldine, you're on 98FM. Hi, Geraldine.
Hello, how are you doing? I just thought that lady was hard on the old folks, you know. No, I have an incident here, Adrian. I have an incident here that my boyfriend, he's only 30 years of age, he's 32, but he's actually 32 years of age, a Coolock here, not a Coolock, Finglas here. He's going through on his bike, he's a good motorcycle, he wears all the accessories, all the lights, all that he has to wear, helmets. He had got a helmet that day. Now he's going through the Finglas crossroad, okay? There's a girl, instead of going on with her two children in the back, they weren't stopped in, and she had a drink on her, she went ahead at the crossroad of Finglas. Now, this was only a young woman, about 38, 39 years of age, couldn't be any more. Now, what happened was, he was rushing up and down to the shops, and he wasn't really on the right side of the cyclist side, to the side of the road, and instead of going on at the amber light, she went and stopped. We went through the windscreen, he had to go helmet on, just for the first shot, he had to go helmet on, went to the windscreen, and his lip was a write-off, he's scarred for life. And this lady, what he did was he got up at the scene of the crime and came around to me, but I live around the corner of Finglas here. Now, why did she do that? And the guy's got a registration, and the guards did nothing about it. The guards are called, the ambulance was called, he has some plastic surgery, his lip and never the same, and she was a young driver. So what's to say that an old driver is going to be more responsible? Why is she going on with this lady? I don't agree with the old folks have to get second. I mean, that lady passed her driving test, obviously. And she got her tax insurance, and she got red marks on her licence, and she got her tax paid. And children can be very manipulative. Children can just run out and playing. Children should be warned by their parents. I'm a parent myself.
Okay, sorry, the point...
you have to tell them to watch the traffic.
Okay, Carly, the point is that, and in fact I have another caller about to say the same thing, that young drivers can be worse.
Just careless and just as reckless. And young guys are drink and drugs. And when I was driving a car, I couldn't drive because I'm on disability tablets. I'm on air tablets. I stopped driving.
But there you go, Carly.
I stopped driving.
Young drivers are just as bad.
Maybe this lady's bus pass, which I'm better off taking the bus. Which I enjoy the bus better instead of driving a car at all.
Carly.
Is she poor? Is she old? Is she living in a state like that?
Go on, Carly. Young drivers are just as bad, if not worse. And, and nobody is for a second suggesting that young drivers need to be tested every year.
Look, Adrian, what I said, I was talking about one specific L1 that lives on my road. Don't know what that other L1 that they're ringing in there, giving out about what I'm saying about taking the air out of the tyres and all, right? Now, no one said that there's not bad young drivers. I didn't say that. But in my experience, that L1 that lives on my road, first of all, not only me, anyone with a brain cell working would say she shouldn't be on the road. And she's saying she got her licence. Come here, when L1s and outfielders at that age got their licence, didn't have to do a test, just walked in and got it, and that was it, right? Things and times have changed, and they should be made move with it. You know, pussyfooting around them because they're old is ridiculous. It's about putting people's lives at risk just in case you offend someone who's old. I'm sorry, no. They should be retested.
Okay, we'll stay there for a second, because Sandra, that is exactly the point that you were making, that your mother at 74 has given up driving because of young drivers.
Yeah. Hiya.
So the exact opposite of what this lady Carly is saying.
She doesn't take the car out as often as she'd like to, and they're always on their mobile phones and that, talking and that while they're driving, and they should be retested. They're only young. I'm not saying, but instead of sending the kids around to do antisocial behaviour, and why don't you go out and hold the kids back? All my kids are red, but if I see a car backing up onto the road, I go out to the little kids and hold them in at the wall while the cars go by,
And, okay, so your mother, what was she like as a driver?
She's a great driver,
Okay. But
now,
she...
at the moment, she's 94 and she is a bit nervous now. But as I say,
she shouldn't be on the road if she's nervous, Sandra, should she?
Well, it's not her driving. It is her
driving.
Young,
if she is nervous,
the young
that
people.
Means that it's her
Excuse me, I'm talking now. You got your talk.
She should
it's
be
the young people on the road that make her nervous, that are on their phones all the time.
Oh,
I'm not saying all old.
Fucking excuses.
Mind the language, Carly, please.
Sorry, Adrian, but I hate this crap, right, of blaming young people. If that woman is nervous, her ma is nervous driving because other people make her nervous, she shouldn't be running about on the phone. She wants to be minding what she's doing. This is what happens.
She does, but that's what you do when you're driving. You don't only look at what you're doing, you have to look around you as well at other drivers.
But
you don't only look at what you're doing.
Be on the road.
She doesn't go out if she is nervous from other drivers that are on their phones. That's what I'm saying.
One of them off the road that's a bit safer. Good.
You have no respect for the elderly people at all, Elwins and
I have respect for people.
They're
ladies
and they're men.
I'd have more
and you shouldn't be
for
sending your
man.
children out to antisocial behaviour. Just go out and call them and, stand them at the path.
Her point was earlier on, Sandra, that she tells her kids to let this woman's tyres down so that she doesn't go out driving. I have to say to you, Carly, that poor old woman has to go and get her tyres pumped up again.
Well, it's a pity about her, Adrian. Hopefully, all I'm hoping is that she gets fed up and gives up and gets on the bus. She has a bus pass, you know what I mean? So it's not like she's stuck to the house.
Okay, stay there for a second. Stuart, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Stuart?
Good man, Adrian. Fine, thanks.
Stuart, what did you see yesterday?
Yesterday I was in RD and I come out to the link road and I followed a tractor out to the link road there, the roundabout, and he went right at the roundabout onto the would be the N2, straight out onto the roundabout on the right. I'm going around the roundabout the wrong way. I proceeded around the roundabout the correct way and pulled up and said to him, "Do you understand what you just done?" And was greeted with the F word and then waving his arms. An elderly gentleman, just in a tractor.
Now,
Adrian, I have to go because I'm in a lorry. I have to go now, but just one main point there,
That's all right. Go on. Right. We've all seen bad incidents on the roads. We've all seen bad incidents with elderly drivers, but we've also seen lots of bad incidents with younger drivers. And that's is it fair? The reason we're asking this question is it fair to be talking about testing elderly drivers over the age of 65 or 70 or whatever, when there's never been any conversation about introducing regular driving tests in your 20s and 30s and 40s? And let's face it, an awful lot of people in that age bracket are as bad, if not worse. Call me right now on 6797981. Should we have tests for elderly drivers? Bernie, what did you want to say?
Yeah, I'm back on air.
Oh, there you are now.
Listen, I think the young and the old are just as bad as each other, to be straight and honest.
Yes.
I have two sons who they're now 24 and 26, and both of them wrote off their cars through reckless flipping driving. Now, thankfully, there was nobody else involved and was up in the Dublin Mountains where we used to live. But equally, my mother and father shouldn't be on the road, and neither should my in-laws. I won't get into the car of my mum or my dad.
Why?
I just won't. Because they're all over the place. They're diddery, they're doddery. My dad feels it's his God-given right, because obviously, and I agree with Carly, they were actually given a piece of paper to say, there you go, off you go, you can drive. And they've never been picked up on it. And, Dad feels it's his God-given right to have a pint and a glass of Guinness, sure, I'm grand, before he drives home. He can't. And there's an awful lot of people, and elderly people are doing that. They're saying, sure, it's grand, sure, it doesn't matter, sure, we're fine. We don't feel the influence, we don't feel the effects. Whereas at least the kids today, the majority of them, I can't speak for all of them, but they won't drink and drive, but they are reckless.
Okay, so what? We're not safe with anybody then?
Pretty much not. I think the people who are my age group, 40s, 50s, or whatever, were well aware. And I mean, actually, I'll give you a laugh. I let my license expire, and I had to go back and sit my test at the age of 40, and I passed it, thank God. But I mean, that's the second time I actually had to pass my test. But I think where Carly is coming across at 60 years of age, no, everybody still has their faculties.
Okay, but what age are your parents then that you think shouldn't be on the road?
Mum is 78 and Dad's 85.
85?
Yeah, and he is... Listen, he's so many bashes and bangs on the side of his car where he's reversed into people. Now, he's never hit anybody, thank God. He's never caused any physical damage to anybody. But I won't get into a car with him.
Okay, and can I ask you, do you think that what's his eyesight like? Because that's all you really have to pass on at this moment.
But his eyesight is fine, actually. I know. And what I would actually think, because you have to remember as well that these people are on pensions. And they don't have the money to actually do a retest every year. That's a little bit unfair. But don't quote me on this, I'm not 100% sure of my facts, but I think they have to renew their licence after 70 every 3 years. They're only given
but they don't have to pass another test, they just have to prove that their eyesight's okay, as far as I know.
Exactly. So I would actually think that, to incorporate it with the eyesight test, to actually have them resit a driving test. Because... Do you think your dad would pass a driving test? Not in a month of Sundays.
Really, yeah.
And neither would my in-laws. And neither would the majority of elderly people. Because
failing a driving test then should lead to you being taken off the road?
Absolutely.
You don't get another chance? Do you understand where I'm getting at? The fairness here. If you're 18 and you do your driving test and you fail it, what do? You just go and do it again until you eventually pass it. But you're saying, if it's an elderly person, no, if you fail the test, you're off the road.
But listen, what we're saying, Adrian, is, and I can hear the continuity with everybody saying the same thing, as you get older, your faculties dull, your reactions dull, everything dull, so that they should get reaction tests rather than... But they're not up to speed with the rules of the road either. They're really not. And they haven't been made to sit all the tests, etc., that the kids of today had to sit. I mean, I agree. The kids of today are brats. My two sons, as I said, wrote off their flipping cars. Now, they bought them for themselves, and they had to replace them themselves. But...
Because you have me not wanting to go out on the road ever. Bernie, thanks very much indeed for your call, and Carly, thank you very much indeed for your call. I have to leave it at that. I think the majority of you do believe that we should test elderly drivers over a certain age. Do we do it every 3 years? And if you fail it, is that you off the road? They're all the debates that we're going to have on this one. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks.
98FM, Secret Sound.
Would you like to win yourself this? The number's getting so big. You could win €9,600 right now off me here at 98FM. All you have to do is identify this. That's 98FM's Secret Sound. We've been doing this for over 2 weeks now, and we put on €50 every single hour until it is eventually won. We are at €9,600 in this hour, and you could win it. If you want to take part in the game, text sound followed by your name and details right now to 0877 98 98 98. Text sound followed by your name and details to 0877 98 98 98. What is this? It's the sound that an awful lot of you think is... you have an idea of what you think it is, but then every call that we get seems to be getting it wrong. What in God's name is this? Let's go to Ballymun, and Liz Trapp is on the line from Ballymun. Hi, Liz.
Hiya.
Liz, welcome to 98FM, and let's play Secret Sound. Oh, sorry, say that again?
Is a disposable camera. You know when you take the picture and wind it on?
Is it a disposable camera that you click and then wind it on?
For the next picture, yeah.
Let me have a listen to that again. Press the button, wind it on. Press the button, wind it on. Is that the answer that I'm looking for? I've mentioned before, Liz, we haven't been told what the answer is. Our boss comes into the studio every hour and he nods or he waves and tells me whether you're right or wrong. Is Liz right, Mr. Boss? This is a disposable camera being clicked and wind on. Sorry, Liz.
Don't worry.
Thanks very much indeed. If you think you know what 98FM's secret sound is, Barry Dunn will give you another opportunity to play in the next hour for €9,650. I know loads of you think you know what it is. Get playing in the next hour, €9,650 with Barry Dunn here at 98FM. And Barry, some brilliant music in the next hour for you, including these.
FM's Dublin Talks with Mattress Express at Des Kelly Interiors. Now available at Long Mile Road in Coolock.